Okay, great. Well, it's good to be here with y'all. So I'm Devin Christensen. I am a USDB audiologist. I work in Ogden. I work with Tyler Sorensen. So we both work in Ogden. And then you guys want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Barrett Ray. I am mostly for the preschool at JMS, but then I also supervise our fourth year, who is Angie. And so I'm at JMS. We're reassigning some roles. So if you guys had Angie on your caseload, all of them will be going to me and Samantha. So Allison. Sorry.
Yeah, Angie's staying with us.
Angie's staying. Allison.
I'm not going anywhere.
And I'm Samantha Snow. I'm also at Salt Lake campus, JMS 6 through Post High, as well as Park City down through to Vernal now. So larger caseloads as well as taking on a lot of out.
And we have Janelle.
Hi, Janelle.
Down south and
Stephanie's online. She's joining us from St. George.
Hello, welcome. Wild donkeys, can you all see me? I don't know if my video is working or not.
It's not working.
Okay, that's okay. I'm here in spirit. Well, it depends.
Thanks, Stephanie. Great. So we're going Oh, and Sarah's joining us. Great. Yeah, well, let's not forget Sarah. She's our coordinator. She works from out of state.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah. Little punk.
Thanks, Stephanie. Oh, you corn nuts.
Okay, great. We'll move through our presentation. So if you want to.
Yep. Let me. Oh no, it's not. There we go. Okay.
Okay, great. So these are just things we're going to talk about. You can keep going.
Okay.
And we just went over all of this. This is us in our areas that we work in.
Does everybody see that? If you work in those areas, you can. Okay.
So
We'll have it at the end.
yeah,
You'll have it at the end. Oh, they actually have a map too. I saw. That's good.
Okay. So hearing assistive technology. We just had an awesome presentation with all of those resources. So thank you. Where should we?
Allison.
Right there. Thank you, Allison.
No, that was good. That
was
worked right into
great.
it.
So I would encourage y'all to use those resources, those quick guides. Looks like you put a lot of work into that. Great job. Okay, we're going to keep going. So hearing assistive technology, just a couple of things. Sometimes they're referred to as FM systems, right? We used to use the word FM system. FM system is just a type of radio frequency that's not really used anymore, and so we use hearing assistive technology. That's what it is. So it usually involves a microphone or some kind of streaming device. So it's any device or devices that enhance an individual's aided or unaided hearing, and it's typically done with a remote microphone. So let's move on.
Sorry.
Great. So according to the Educational Audiology Association, educational audiologists are the only individuals who can appropriately select, set, validate, manage implementation of HAT. That's great, but there's very few of us, right? So we really appreciate help from all of you, teachers, parents, and speech-language pathologists. We rely heavily on all of you guys to help us do those things. So thank you. We'll keep going. All right. So when you're setting up a system initially, it depends on, like, every child is going to be different, right? And there's some factors that you just want to consider, let your audiologist know about before you set it up. And one of the first things, which was what Allison, right? Yeah. Allison touched on, is the student's devices. So if it's cochlear, if it's Med-L, if it's advanced bionics, whatever it is, I like to know the company and the model. Okay, if I know those two things, then I can recommend what's going to work well with that device. Okay. The student's listening environment. So is the student going to be in a mainstream classroom where there's 30 plus kids and a lot of noise? Or are they going to be in like a USDB classroom where you've got like 6 kids and they all have their own personal setup for a HAT? Or maybe they're doing online and they just need something to stream the audio from the computer directly into their devices. So it's something to consider. The other big one is the overlapping HAT systems. So in many of our schools throughout Utah, they have the speaker systems in the ceiling or like mounted to the wall. And the teacher uses a microphone and it just kind of goes through the whole classroom. So those are classroom systems. And then we have 1 or 2 students that go into that classroom and they have hearing devices and they need access directly. So how do we help those work well together? Do they interfere? Those are the kinds of considerations we need to think about with that. So, great. So, if you have a student who you need hearing assistive technology support with, this is our link, okay? This is our referral link for everything that, if you scroll, this is our webpage. If you scroll down just a little bit, this will give all the information about our audiology department within USDB. Right here, it says audiology referral, okay? That's where you go to request hearing assistive technology or ask us to come evaluate like a classroom or come observe a student to see if they need it or just asking for help. Also, we ask our district representatives to send in referrals here if they need like an evaluation, if they fail 2 hearing screenings or something like that, then they send in a referral here. And once you submit the referral, then it will, Sarah will look at the referral and then assign it to the audiologist who is in that area. So, yeah, that's how that can work. There's our policies down there. We have a lot of loaner equipment. So we have a lot of microphones, a lot of receivers. We have other multimedia streaming devices. If we don't have it currently available, we can usually send in a request for it. And so what we do is we try to get the kids online with their technology as fast as we possibly can, just to get them going. And then we work with each child's school district to see what's a long-term solution for this child. Right? So there's our contact information. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the slide. Okay, great. So it's a quick rundown. I know that many of you, and I get questions all the time about how do I set this child up with HAT system, or I'm having trouble. Like, why isn't my mini mic working? Why I pair it and then 2 minutes later it disconnects. So I know many of you have questions like that, and we'd be happy to discuss those like during lunch. It's kind of hard to give you a general answer because each case is very specific. I will say the mini mic will time out after 2 minutes if it's not within range. That's why it's disconnected. Okay. But yeah, we can get into questions later. But go ahead.
We also brought some common hat systems for you guys to like try if you want to. If you want to learn how to put a Roger X into a hearing aid, if you want to learn how to connect an edge mic, if you want to learn how to mess with a touch screen, all of that stuff. The very basic stuff we brought. We don't have any cochlear implants, but I brought some other stuff to kind of play with and learn how to retube. If you're scared of retubing, we'll teach you how to retube. It's not that scary. What's that?
Would it be possible for you guys to like actually do videos of yourself with like a example child of how to, as if you were the teacher there so that we can send it to parents or classroom teachers for those of us that do virtual stuff. Because I've been doing it myself, trying to do it, and I've sent it to a couple teachers. But I think coming from you guys, knowing how to wear it, where to wear it. Like Devin said, in 2 minutes, it's gonna shut off. All these troubleshooting things, tips, so that they have substitute teachers, okay? Sub comes in, have no idea what to do with these things. All they have to do is watch this video. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, we can probably work on that. We'll work with our IT department and see if we can find something. Yes.
So I already have videos of everything,
Oh,
but, and there's actually,
Allison, come
no,
on.
I'm just, it's a lot of kids, and I want to be true to every kid.
No.
But there's also, like, I created QR codes, and those are on the links as well, for every single device. So we put those on every FM system, they have a QR code on them, and then that teacher can scan it.
Like just tape on the actual.
It's zip tied to the bag, and they're like the big, thick 5 mil cards that I laminated them with. But yeah, so those are on that link if you scan the QR code you have. And sorry, you guys can do it too.
No, that's great.
But-
You guys already have it and are willing to let us use it.
Thank you,
I think
Allison.
that's great. Gives us more time.
If you just scan that QR code and then you tap on the brand that you're looking at, it'll be under there.
Okay.
All right, transitioning from equipment to evaluation side of things, I'm going to be talking to you guys about FLEs, which are functioning listening evaluations. There's different versions of FLEs for different kids. The one that I'm going to be talking about is for most of our mainstream students, because there's one more specific for like deaf, blind, or other needs potentially. So an FLE, a functional listening evaluation, is kind of self-explanatory. It's an eval that looks at how listening and understanding are impacted by noise, by distance, and by visual cues within their listening environment. Listening environment is most often that learning environment is what we're interested for the students that we work with. And so ideally, that evaluation is conducted in that student's classroom or one of the classrooms that they're in or potentially struggling in. And it might be conducted in a different classroom at school if we go out on site and there's not the kids' classroom available, but potentially a different room on site, or they might come to one of the USDB campuses and use one of our on-site classrooms to conduct the evaluation. And so when we do an FLE, we're looking for different types of information. It's showing us how well the student performs with and without their technologies. It might be to look at, okay, this kid doesn't really want to wear their hearing aids, so let's look at with and without hearing aids. Or if the school and teachers are interested in or struggling with their hat system, with that remote microphone, looking at, okay, how do they do with just the hearing aids compared with hearing aids and that remote mic? And so without devices, without whatever that hat system is, and then in the different simulated situations. So quiet space versus background noise, and then with and without visual cues, because teachers don't always look at their class while providing those instructions, and that can give additional information for what that student needs to hear and understand best in that listening environment.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Where do you get your background noise?
So we have audio files that simulate different types of noise. We have one, and I don't remember where it came from, but we have one that's called brown noise. We have one that's just general classroom noise. So they're audio files that most often is played on our laptop. We use a sound level meter to rate how loud is that sound at the child's ear, and then usually done at about 50 dB, which is average level of noise, and being, okay, when we do the FLE with noise, that noise is similar to what a conventional classroom might sound like, and then just playing that audio file for each different test when it's in that background noise environment.
And where are the audio files?
You can purchase them online.
You can also use YouTube.
Or
Yeah.
YouTube has really great like classroom noise, cafeteria noise, all of that stuff that'll run on loop.
So when you do these, you're typically doing them in your booth if the kid comes, or you go into their environment in the classroom.
So either going
Test
out
it.
to that student's school and doing it in their classroom ideally without others in the space, just with us, that student, and potentially their teacher, if we're able to get that set up. If they come to USDB campus, most often having students like from Salt Lake area come to the OEC and then using like the preschool classroom, because that's one that's open and available in that afternoon time frame.
But not in the booth.
But
We're
not,
trying
you,
to make it
it's
booth.
outside of the booth, right, okay.
When you're presenting the background noise, do you put the background noise, could you do the 3 to 6, 12 feet or whatever, or 3 to 12 feet? Do you put it in the middle or do you put it next to the child? Where do you put it?
So it's usually put next to the child, and then we as audiologists use sound level meter to see, okay, how loud is that noise, to have that comparable volume for whatever distance you'd be looking at.
So just keep it next to them.
It also depends on your kid. So if you're seeing a Baja kid and you want to see, okay, on that Baja side, that side's facing the classroom right now, I'm gonna put the noise on the Baja side to make it harder. The point of an FLE is not to make it extremely difficult, but we want to find where these children are struggling. Where are they struggling and how can we help improve that struggle?
Which is, I think, this next one. So where the results, when we do the testing, is showing in these different environments how well does that student do, and it helps to provide information for, most likely they do better with their devices, and they typically do better with visual cues. Looking at the environments that they're in, what's the best setup that we can provide for them to understand as much as possible within their classrooms, so that they're able to have access and learn, not just having audibility access, but understanding access as much as possible. And so that test, as we described, it's usually set up with and without noise. So we do one test without that classroom noise and then one with. And that shows, okay, if things are quieter, you're going to traditionally do better. But if we're comparing with background noise, without a microphone and with a microphone, we'd expect that with that hat system to do better. And we can see that in the percentages of how many words are correct or how many phrases are correct out of the sentences read to that child during testing. Yes?
Is it ever done with the actual noise of their classroom? Like, not with the recorded simulated, but like, okay, we're gonna go in the corner over here and we're gonna pretend that we're actually trying to do therapy or something with the actual noise in the classroom?
I haven't done one like that. I'm sure it can be done. And if you guys want to try it out and let us know how it goes, I'd love to know. But I think the hardest part is being distracting to the other kids, depending on what they're working on. So
I guess I'm thinking like, you know, group work and things where everybody's doing, at least when I've been in classrooms, there have been plenty of times when everybody's kind of independently working on different things and teachers are pulling kids off to a table to do some little intensive work. I just would be interested to see how the visual distractions of the kids in the class also compete with the noise distraction.
Candy, have you ever done one like that?
I apologize, we're dealing with a
You're
problem
okay.
at school.
You're okay. Have you ever done an FLE like in the classroom with classroom noise individually?
She's the one that does those.
Yeah, have you done them like that before? Like with classroom
Not
noise?
with real
individually?
classroom noise. I
Yeah.
have a Bluetooth speaker that I screen
Yeah.
noise.
Okay, I didn't know if you guys did it
Yeah.
different, so.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think the challenge is being able to sit in the report say, okay, the noise was at this level, and the signal is at this level, and this is how they did. Because we'll do like softer and louder noise and signal, so we can kind of see the comparison, see that trend. And if it's just random, then it's harder to say that. It is real life, but it's hard to kind of point out where those lines are.
It's a long test too.
Yeah.
It is.
It's
It
long.
takes like 4 people.
It
I'm not
can,
kidding, like,
it can, yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
Plus another 4 to walk around making silly faces and sit there visually distracted.
It would be interesting to
Family
see
learning
though.
or
Yeah.
design evaluation.
We all know they are.
But with this, we're also trying to do functional listening, right? So as much as we know that they can be distracted by the visual things around, what we want to know is, hearing wise, in this scenario, what's the best that they can do? Where are the lines?
How bad is it to do like a quick and dirty 12 feet with and without? Like 3 feet seems like, is that terribly necessary? Like we did this test, it took forever. And this poor kid, oh my gosh. And so I just was like, we should have just done the 12 feet with and without. Like, the hearing aid, because he won't wear his hearing aid. Well,
And
sometimes.
with the visual, without it, it was,
Anyway,
Yeah, I've done that.
we just got tired and we didn't
Okay.
end up doing the very last 12-foot one. And it would have been higher anyway than what he got, but it was just like, everybody's tired. We're sick of being in here. And
I don't
Is
know,
it
I sometimes
okay?
feel like it's best, like, at least with some of the younger kids, to split it up into like different days. And then I'll maybe do like 2 rows and be like, okay, awesome, thanks so much. And make it a quick little visit.
I'll typically pick what I need to make a case. So like, if a middle schooler I'm refusing to wear my hat system. I will not wear it. I will not take it to my teachers. I lose it often. That happens a lot, right? I'll do 12 feet in noise. I'm gonna make it hard. And I'm gonna say, this is why you use this system. It's not for everyone else. No one cares that you have this, but you understand more of what's happening. Your brain is understanding more. So I'll do quick and easy things often. Yeah.
I think it's important to remember too, the first 2 months of school, they think they're rock stars because their brain is filling in the gaps of what they didn't hear because it's already common knowledge. So I try to have that conversation with kids all the time of like, yeah, of course you're killing it for this 2 months. It's repetition from last year. But the next few months are gonna be really hard. So I'll often ask parents, like, is your child coming home with headaches? Are they grumpy after school? Do they seem more tired than normal? And all the time they're like, yeah, he's been getting headaches like crazy. And so I just try to help them understand that that's listening fatigue. That's because they haven't been using their mic. And so I think that's really important to look at the time of the year too, to make sure that that's not impacting their success.
I'll also use FLEs to not use hat systems. So we're getting a lot of APD kids nowadays. And sometimes those kids actually do worse with a personal hat system versus a sound filled system. So I'll go do an FLE to say, you know, I understand that you think this hat system might be better for this kid, but the child's not actually functioning any different. They're functioning the same with a speaker system versus with a personal system. So sometimes I'll use that as well. Or like if a kid is like, I function better with just my hearing aids instead of just listening to the teacher talk to every other kid in the class, then we'll also do that as well. Those are my older kids usually. My younger kids have systems almost all the time, so anyways. Sorry.
With those older kids, they can use the Roger On though, and they can mute it from their app. So then they don't have to hear the teacher talking to other kids because they mute and unmute them. Just
If they have that, that would be great. Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else? Okay, I think it's rolls. Yeah.
Aha! Okay, my turn.
Thank you.
Even though I've already been talking. Okay, so one thing that we were asked to kind of talk about is the difference between a TOD or a speech pathologist. I focused on TODs, or I think they just changed what those are called now, and you guys are gonna have to educate me on it because it's gonna be a TOD in my brain forever. So
Did they change us? Are we teachers of the deaf?
that one,
TDHH.
yeah.
Teacher, what does it mean?
TDHH.
Teacher of the deaf and hard.
Okay.
For the deaf and
It's
hard.
gonna change every year and I'm gonna get confused
All right.
every year. Anyways, so I focused mostly on them, and then what educational audiologists do. One thing I will tell you is educational audiologists everywhere are different. And what that institution expects of you is going to be different based on where you are. At USDB, and I know Candy as well, we have a lot of freedom. We're able to do hat systems, we're able to program if we need to, we are able to work with different audiologists. Some educational audiologists do screenings, and that's kind of it. Screenings and evaluations, and that's it. So get to know your audiologist in the district that you're in so that you can learn what their role is, what everything like who expects what of them, and then kind of go from there. I think we're pretty close to what you get to do, right, Candy? Sure. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so let's see here. Educational audiologists. There's a lot of words on here. I'm not gonna read it all. So basically, we're here to deal with the hearing aspect of things, right? So we're the more clinical side of hearing for students. And then whenever we get into schools and stuff, we can do the evaluations, we can do that thing, we can make our recommendations, we can decide what kind of hearing aids like might work best for a kid, different environments, different HAS systems, all of that fun stuff, but then we rely on you guys to actually really implement it, because I couldn't make it out to see all 500 of them. Wanted to make sure Stephanie didn't want to talk.
You're good.
Okay. So yeah, that's kind of what we do. The biggest thing is diagnose, manage, and treat hearing imbalance problems. I don't deal with balance. That is a clinical audiologist thing at a hospital. Please let me know if you have a kid that has balance issues and the right people. But the balance system is not my favorite topic. So that's something that is a little different. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next page. And then teachers of the deaf and hard of hearing. I put it right on here. Okay, so for the most part, I mean, you guys all know what you do. I think that I would benefit from learning more about what you guys do, hence the reason we're here. But I work with Leah Miller. She's my TOD out in Tooele, and she is my right-hand man. Like, I diagnose, I give her the information, and then she goes and does it, and it's amazing. The way it all flows, the way it all works. Like, I'm on the phone with her constantly, figuring out what's wrong with equipment, how to best help a kid. If a school, right now we're really working on figuring out how to do school hearing screenings a little bit more quickly and efficiently, and also getting the school to do them because we don't do them. And so we're finding a lot of late identified kids. So making sure that the school is going through the appropriate channels to get them sent to us so that we can get them identified so that they're not failing. I diagnosed a kid last March with a moderately severe flat hearing loss that he's had likely since kindergarten. And whenever I asked his teacher, I said, how is he functioning? She said, he's not. He raises his hand in the middle of class and says, I love you, because he can't hear. He doesn't know what's going on. So making sure Leah goes and makes sure that the teacher is well aware of all of his accommodations, that kind of thing. And then working with the school to get a 504, minimum 504 set up. Let's see, next page. Okay, collaboration. It's kind of what I all went to. But the biggest thing is we can't do our job without you guys. So and vice versa. That's so nice to hear. But the biggest thing is making sure that if you guys know a kid that has a hearing loss, let your audiologist know, and make sure the school knows that they need to probably be very minimum on a 504. We're starting to take over more, not take over, I shouldn't say that, that's not the right word. We're starting to acquire more school districts as districts are losing audiologists. There's not many audiologists left, educational audiologists left in the valley, really. It's kind of dwindling down. And so like we took over Canyons, and we're finding that a lot of kids have hearing loss that were never diagnosed, that kind of thing that we're really trying to pick up on, but making sure that they have a 504, letting us know what you need, and then helping us out to get where you guys want these kids to be, where we want them to be as well.
On like
Screenings and through random paperwork, lots of like paperwork that's in files, that's stuffed in a cabinet somewhere, and then we go through and find that they're
Like our files or?
Oh, no, not ours. Like it's district files that whenever we acquire a district at USDB, it takes a little while to figure out how their system worked. And a lot of them use paper files. And so going through those paper files, figuring out what kids had hearing loss, which ones didn't. The rules for putting a kid on a 504 versus not used to be different 5 years ago from what they are now. So a kid may require a 504 now because they have a hearing loss. And they need some special accommodations, versus now where we're like, nope, we're gonna put them on a 504 and then make sure that they are taken care of in that aspect, that they're on everyone's radar. Even though they might not need that specific support right then and there, we at least have them on a radar to say, okay, did your hearing aids break today? You can't get into the audiologist for another 3 weeks. Let's see what we can do in the meantime. Okay, the other really big thing that helps for sure me, is questionnaires. So if you guys have a teacher who's not willing to wear a hat system, or a kid who says, no, I'm functioning just fine, there's some different questionnaires that you guys have access to, and I can also get you them if you need them. But sending those out to their teachers, to their parents, even having some of these are for the kid to fill out. And so those help a ton, because I can look at those and say, okay, this is what we're doing. This kid's really absolutely not going to wear this device. How about we try something else? Let's see what other kind of system I can get implemented in the class, that kind of thing. So.
Could you send those to me and I'll upload them to the
Yeah,
file, to your
yeah.
guys' file?
Some of them are a little bit edited. So they're not the exact version, but they're more child friendly depending on the age group you're working with. So I will send those,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a bunch of stuff if you guys want to look at it. Like we said, we have, this is kind of a different roles of educational audiologists versus teachers of the deaf. Like I said, some stuff on here is going to be different than what, like we do at USDB, what Candy does versus at, Nebo. I almost said Granite, that was wrong. Versus what Paige does at Granite. So, different little things. There's some, yeah, all that fun stuff to look at. It's just more fun to look at than anything. What questions do you have right now?
I have a ton of questions, but I won't ask all of them to everybody, so I'll just talk to you.
That's bouncy.
Perfect.
That's for our
That's
funch.
fun.
That's for our funch.
Yeah.
That's for our funch.
There you go.
Can it, just by a show of hands, I'm interested, who out of the districts, do you still have, you guys have audiologists separate, right? Okay, and, Davis does, Grin, okay. And you guys do, yeah, Logan and Cash have theirs. Okay.
And our speech pathologists assess, like they all have an audiometer, oh my gosh, thank you, Candy. At every school, and so they actually collaborate into groups, and then they test that whole school in a day.
Oh,
And then they
wow.
do a retest 2 weeks later.
Wow.
So that's how Alpine does it, and then they're testing, yeah, multiple grades, and then that's how we find them typically, or we walk through a school, Terry and I, and we're like, that kid's got AIDS, and you follow them back to their class, and you're like, what's your name? So we like find out who they are, and then we contact the parent, and within a week they have an FM system. So
That's awesome.
it works well, but the speech pathologists are really helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Speech paths are our other right-hand men. We have lots of right-handed and left-handed feet. And
You know, I think that's a really good point, because I think visibility is big. So if your speech therapists in your buildings know who you are and know what you're there for, there are a lot of times, I don't know that a new kid has moved into the district. I don't know if they're hearing impaired, but I'll have a speech therapist send me a note going, hey, just letting you know, this kid came in. Same with your nurses. Your nurses find out sometimes before the SLPs even. So just having that communication with them saying, hey, if you run across, please let me know. We find a lot of kids that way because I'm going, we had no idea.
Secretaries too.
Yeah.
I've had 3 emails this week from secretaries.
Yeah.
I think he's new. I'm like, no, I knew about him, but I didn't.
Yeah, which is nice. Say thank you.
Yeah. And like I said, I brought some tubing if you guys want to learn how to retube, ear molds, that kind of thing. I brought Roger X's hearing aids, all kinds of fun stuff to play with if you guys want to. Oh, here you go. So, Devin and Tyler are up at KBS. So the red section is generally where they typically are, and who they cover. And then in Salt Lake, it's me, Samantha, and Angie. Our lines all kind of go like this, or we would have tried to split everything up more directly. But we're the yellow middle section. And then we have Janelle, and she's this really big, that half. And then Stephanie down in St. George does all of this. So if you guys want to take a picture of that, all of our emails are first name, last initial at usdb.org. And if you can't get a hold of someone and you need to, just email audiology at usdb.org and it goes to all of us. And we'll figure something out. We'll figure out where you need to go. So
Awesome.
Okay.
Questions? Woo! Thank you. Thank you, USDB.